As we saw the series of seals being opened, we saw how chaos continues throughout this age, and then we were brought to the brink of final judgment. Then we had the trumpets being blasted, and in that series we saw how idolatry is exposed and challenged, and then we were brought to the brink of final judgment. In this series of visions, we're seeing how the devil has used the state power and the influence of false religion in order to challenge Christians and even persecute them. And now we're being brought to the brink of final judgment. John looks and sees a lamb. He sees Jesus, and he sees with Jesus all who belong to him. This number, 144,000, which has come up in Revelation 7, which represents all who belong to Jesus across all time. These people once again are marked. This time it's specified as being with the name of God upon their foreheads. And they are singing a song that only they know, the song of salvation, because only they have experienced his salvation. These are the ones who have lived faithfully for Jesus and who have shown that, demonstrated that in their moral lives. We've then got three angels that appear. The first of those angels is calling people to turn to God and to fear him, trust in him. The second angel is declaring judgment upon Babylon. And the third angel is warning that anyone who worships the beast will also endure the same fate as the beast himself. Now that third angel, in referring to the beast, well, that is obviously to the sea beast, and that anyone who worships the sea beast, anyone who trusts in anything other than God, but particularly the gods of state, society, this world, anyone who worships the beast will face the same fate and experience God's judgment. And then you've got Babylon. And there is debate here, of course, but I think Babylon refers to the land beast. It refers, I think, to compromised religion, that which encourages worship of the false gods of state, society, and the world. And so those that are caught up in that, they too are facing God's judgment. The challenge is still to keep on being faithful to God and following his ways then. And there's that wonderful promise in verse 13 that those who die even now but have been faithful to Jesus, will they rest, they enter his presence, they receive the blessing of God. Then Jesus appears. He is the Son of Man who is seated on a cloud, and he comes in order to harvest the earth because it is ripe. Then another angel appears and is told by a different angel to harvest the grapes. These grapes are cut off and put into the winepress where they are treaded in God's wrath and fury. Now, it is entirely possible to take both of these harvests as positive, as for the believer in their vindication, or as negative for the unbeliever and for their judgment. I think the first one is for the believer. They are harvested because they are ripe. They are gathered as grain into the storehouses of God to be enjoyed by him. But the second harvest, I take it as negative. As for the unbeliever, they are treaded in God's wrath. And the picture is very graphic as the grape juice that flows out is turned to blood and rises incredibly high in the streets. Well, it's not an easy chapter, and it's certainly not a pleasant one if you're not a believer. If that's you, then the challenge is to hear the first angel who calls people to recognize who God is and to trust in him. Jesus, after all, was crushed in God's wrath so that we don't have to be. And for the Christians, it's a warning that if we do compromise, then we face consequences. But we are challenged again to keep on being faithful. We are the people who belong to Jesus. We are those who have been marked with his seal upon our heads. Well, join us next time as we look at chapters 15 and 16.